Welcome everyone to the culmination of our 7-day journey, exploring the profound wisdom of Eckhart Tolle. Over the past week, we've delved into presence, the power of now, surrender, and the intricacies of our inner landscape. And today, on our final day, we arrive at a cornerstone of his teachings, the very entity that often obscures our connection to that deeper peace, the ego. Understanding the ego, as Tolle illuminates, is not just an intellectual exercise. It's a fundamental key to unlocking the transformative power of presence and surrender in our lives. What exactly is the ego that Tolle speaks of so frequently? It's not some external monster, but rather a mind-made sense of self. It's a collection of thoughts, identifications, and ingrained patterns that we mistakenly take to be our true identity. This psychological structure arises from our deep-seated identification with the very content of our minds, our swirling thoughts, our often selective memories, our firmly held opinions, our fluctuating emotions, and the various roles we play in life. But Tolle emphasizes that this egoic self is a phantom, a construct, and not the silent, aware presence that lies as our true essence, the unmoving backdrop to all this mental activity. A core operating principle of the ego is its relentless need for separation. It thrives on creating a distinct me versus other, an us versus them. This sense of separateness, though a fundamental illusion, feels intensely real to the egoic mind. It achieves this through constant comparison, perpetual judgment of ourselves and others, and the rigid establishment of boundaries. The ego has a deep-seated need to feel distinct, often seeking validation through feeling either superior or paradoxically even inferior to those around it. So this inherent sense of division, born from ego's need to define itself, is a primary wellspring of conflict and suffering in our world, both in the internal battles we wage within ourselves and in the fractured relationships we navigate with others. To maintain its fragile existence, the ego is utterly dependent on thought. It constantly generates a stream of mental activity to feel alive, to feel significant. And these thoughts are often repetitive loops, steeped in judgment and fixated on the shadows of the past or the imagined landscapes of the future, rarely finding true anchorage in the vibrant reality of the now. So crucially, the ego fosters a powerful identification with these very thoughts, leading us to the erroneous belief, I am my thoughts. And this deeply ingrained identification is the very mechanism that keeps us ensnared within the egoic mind's limitations. Furthermore, the ego is characterized by an insatiable craving for more, deep insecure feelings, inherently incomplete. It relentlessly seeks external validation and the acquisition of more possessions, more recognition, more power, more relationships, as if these external additions could somehow fill the internal void. Yet this craving is destined for perpetual dissatisfaction because the ego's underlying sense of lack is an internal state, a feeling of separation from our true being, and no amount of external accumulation can ever truly satiate it. This relentless pursuit of more inevitably leads to a profound lack of appreciation for the richness and abundance that is already present in our lives. Perhaps one of the most significant ways the ego perpetuates suffering is through its inherent resistance to the present moment. The now, the only true reality, is largely ignored or actively resisted by the ego. It prefers to endlessly revisit the past, clinging to its carefully constructed story, and identify or to anxiously project into the future, seeking some imagined fulfillment or bracing against perceived threats. The ego really inherent value of peace is simply being. It often views the present moment as merely a stepping stone to some future goal or an obstacle to its desires. Ultimately, as Tolle powerfully argues, the ego is the primary architect of our suffering. Its ingrained need for separation, the constant stream of judgment, its fundamental resistance to the present moment, and its unyielding craving for more creates a persistent state of inner turmoil and inevitable conflict with the world around us. Negative emotions such as anger, fear, anxiety, and resentment are often direct manifestations of this egoic resistance and identification, signals that we are caught in its web. The path to liberation, to the profound peace we've discussed throughout this week, lies in transcending this egoic identification. It doesn't entail some impossible and unnecessary destruction of the ego itself, but rather recognizing it for what it is, simply a pattern of thought, a mental construct, and not the essence of who we truly are. The disidentification blossoms through the power of presence, becoming the conscious awareness behind our thoughts and emotions, observing them without judgment or entanglement. We learn to become the silent watcher, the spaciousness in which these mental dramas unfold. As we cultivate this presence, the ego's tenacious grip gradually weakens. We begin to experience a deeper, more authentic connection to our true being, that still aware presence, and ultimately to the interconnectedness of all life. Let us remember the potent words that illuminate this path. The ego is more than identification with form, which primarily means forms. The ego is the unobserved mind, and the crucial key to liberation. The moment you realize you are not present, you are present. So whenever you are able to observe your mind, you are no longer trapped in it. Another factor that has come in is the witnessing presence. The ego clings to the past, for that is where its fabricated history resides, and it fears the present and the future, for they are unscripted and beyond its control. Its sense of self is built on the shifting sands of yesterday and the anxieties of tomorrow, while our true self lies beyond the confines of form. The ego exists as a vast, interconnected network of thoughts, emotions, and subtle energy fields, constantly seeking something external to attach itself to in a futile attempt to validate, its illusory sense of self.